to the Creative Push. Today we have Sarah Stob. She is a visual artist. Tell us a little bit about your style of painting.
Kind of where I'm at right now is just doing more of incorporating the digital with some of the oil paint and encaustic. I just fell in love with this whole idea that I could do layers of paintings with an iPad. You can do glazing looks without ever having to wait for it to dry. Basically just drawing in a digital format. I started doing a lot of stuff with that. I would get it printed and it would be on a nice solid wood back so that I could start using some acrylic on it, some oil on it, and a lot of different encaustic techniques over the top of it. Just give it some depth and just wax drips. Just melt Damar resin with the wax. And then I've got special little blocks of pigment that you can just drop in the pan, and then you can just add as much or as little as you want. And then I have different razors, and I use some pottery sculpting tools to get different textures. And you can use a razor and you can cut little lines in it, the wax, and then kind of smooth it. And then you can add a color over the top of that and then scrape it off. And then you've got like perfect little lines in the wax. Part of it is 3-dimensional, but part of it's super flat. I don't want to draw attention to any text or anything like that. I just fell in love with it because I can be anywhere. I could be at the airport and I can be doing a piece. I don't have to like stop what I'm really passionate about. I've intentionally not learned all the shortcuts because I don't want it to be cheating. I'm basically just drawing with the Procreate pen that comes with it.
And you're printing it out on canvas?
Yeah, it's a company that the canvas is placed on a board. So it's a nice hard surface. So I don't have to worry about putting too much texture on it and having it bend or anything. It looks like a typical canvas. The wood is on the back of it.
Tell me a little about your background. What got you into painting?
My mom was an artist, but she wasn't formally trained either. She's just a hippie. She was all about just being creative. She grew her own gourds and will do the little wood burns into the gourds and make little rattles. So I just grew up watching her make things and getting in trouble stealing her paints because her paints were better than mine. And I've just always kept it as a passion. I was so drawn to Monet and Van Gogh. I was a few hours away from Chicago. I lived in Michigan, and I would literally just hitchhike to get to the freaking museums so I could just sit and stare at all of that crazy color and texture. I loved it. I'd go and I'd look at realism and I'm like, yeah, that's really good and it looks really hard to do, but it didn't move me the way seeing the brushwork on the canvas did. I've never actually gone to school for art. I have a master's in social work. I took one art class at Belmont. This isn't fun as a class. We have a library downstairs that is just my art studio. It's much more fun just coming home and relaxing and doing something. My mom had mental health issues, so she would just kick me out. I was out on my own. I got married at 19 and bought my own house. So I had to grow up real quick because I was out of the house at 14. 16, I started selling my work at coffee shop and I had really good luck with that. They didn't sell for a lot of money, but I was able to support myself selling my pieces. And then I got into a gallery, which was really nice, but it was short-lived. In little boutiques, and I did the art fairs. When I went back to school, I knew there just wasn't going to be any time to build up an entire new body of work and then go sell it somewhere. So I just painted for myself the whole time I was in school. And it took a while because my kid was also in school and I didn't want to be an absent mom. Initially, when I started back at school, I wasn't taking like a full course load.
And what is your typical subject matter?
I do a lot of women. I don't know why. The only time I'll draw a man is if somebody says, can you draw this man for me? Women are just beautiful.
How do you find your subject matter?
Before COVID, it was being out in the world and seeing someone or something that inspired me. And during COVID, I would just look on Facebook and see what people are posting and make a painting of what they posted.
I know that you did a pandemic series. Tell me a little bit more about that series of paintings.
It started off because Ben Frank had posted a picture of himself with a really goofy mask. And it was before the CDC had changed their website. The CDC initially was saying that you did not need to wear a mask. And it did say initially that it wasn't as bad as the flu. So they were joking around and they put a mask on and they posted it on Facebook. And I painted that because I thought, look, that is like hilarious. And then it wasn't too long after that the CDC changed their mind and they were like, oh no, like put a mask on, like do everything you can to protect yourself. It's a lot worse than we thought it was. And so then everybody's like posting pictures of themselves with a mask on. And I was like, well, everyone's eyes look just so beautiful. So I just loved being able to focus on their eyes. And then the whole idea is funny that we're all running around with masks on right now. Like, who would ever thought that we'd live through a pandemic? I was sent home from my internship because it wasn't safe to be in a school environment. My husband has lung issues. I didn't want to like go out and bring home this deadly disease. So I was home a lot surfing Facebook.
That's
Whoever's eyes looked the best, I painted them.
Do you generally paint from a picture or do you paint from memory?
Well, my latest stuff, it has been from pictures. I do have some work from memory. The lady in my dining room, it was when I was younger and I was hitchhiking to Chicago. The guy was such a creep, but he wanted to stop off at a casino and I don't gamble. So I'm stuck at this casino and I'm looking around at all the art. All I have is a little pencil and the napkins. And so I sketched out some of the things that I liked. Of course, they thought like I was cheating. So like security guards came over and harassed me about what on earth I'm doing with this napkin, and I'm trying, not go crazy with boredom. Then later on, I ended up closing my eyes and just creating the piece from the memory. And it turned out, I was really shocked how well it turned out, imagining what the piece was and just projecting it on the canvas.
What is creativity to you? What does it mean?
It's a lifeline because I'm mentally unstable myself just from having years of trauma. So being able to shut the doors or just kind of escape into this world of I'm not listening to any of the thoughts in my head. I'm not thinking about anything that's going wrong in life. I'm just making a piece of art. It's really important to me. I have major depressive disorder. Anything I can do to try to stay positive and upbeat, I do.
What inspires you?
I think everything inspires me. I'm constantly looking at just the way light is sitting on something and shadows. I'm obsessed with shadows. I look like I'm daydreaming, but I'll just see something. It's so gorgeous. I can't believe how beautiful the world is. And we're just constantly just running through it and we're missing all of these different little things. I obviously can't recreate any of it. I'm constantly enthralled with nature and light.
Do you ever get stuck? And if you do, how do you pull yourself out of that?
Yeah, I'm a little stuck right now, to be honest. I just have to do something abstract a lot of times, bringing that brush to the canvas, then I can get myself out of it. I have a lot of self-doubt. Sometimes I feel like I'm just wasting all this canvas. I'm wasting all this paint. So it's hard when I'm stuck in my head and not making anything.
Have you ever done a self-portrait?
When I was young, I used to do lots of self-portraits. I used to do lots of naked me's and they all sold.
Do you have any weird or odd collections?
I know my house is filled with oddities. I have lots and lots of old things all throughout my house. This one of those 3D things and so I have like a whole little box full of the pictures. This one's like a dead guy and he's getting rearranged to look happy. But I have lots of weird old things that I think most people would just think is trash, and I just think it's a treasure.
What is it that you would like to learn that you haven't learned yet?
I don't have a background in any color theory courses. I don't have any real knowledge of how to do a portrait. Everything I'm doing is an experiment. It's all trial and error. I would love to actually take classes.
Is there somewhere that you have your work?
I have some pictures at Fine Art America. There's my website, sarahstob.com. And then my Instagram is just 201 Sarah Stob. In May, I'm supposed to have a show at the Gordon Jewish Community Center.
Has COVID changed your art in any way?
My art lately has been just Facebook pictures. And that says something about just my huge increase in social media. I never would have been on my phone like that. I'd always just be outside hiking and getting inspired from what I see in the real world. And COVID has just really isolated me.
Do you have any advice to someone who's maybe starting out as a painter?
The biggest thing is don't be afraid to make mistakes, because a lot of times some of the mistakes I've made have turned out to be the best thing on the canvas. But also continue to like research other artists and go to as many places as you can that have art shows so you can see all the different mediums and everything that's available, and don't get too secure with what they're doing, because I like to see growth with an artist. It's constantly changing.
What do you see in your future as far as painting?
I see as soon as COVID is over, I'm going to actually sign up and take classes. So I think they'll be more technical in the future. I'll be able to create more depth and more realism, because what I want to do is have parts of it be realistic, but parts of it just kind of broken away. I don't ever want just a solid, totally realistic looking piece. To me, even though it's a lot more skill that's involved to do something like that, it doesn't hold my attention. I think that's true for a lot of people. I think that's why Impressionism and abstract works are so popular, because you can just keep looking at it and find something new. So,
Thanks so much for letting me do the interview.
thank you.